Yeah. You saved me, you saved my life, girl. Yes, yes. You still right. Yes, yes, you're now rocking with the best. I'm your host, HerbMan, and this is a brand new episode of Herb of the Day. Go tell somebody to go tell somebody that your boy HerbMan is on. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, please hit that logo right there on your screen and hit the notification bell so that you never ever miss a daily episode of Herb of the Day, and of course all of our other uploads that we do. All right, now without further ado, we want to go ahead and get right into the Herb of the Day. All right, we appreciate all of you guys for your support thus far, and we're gonna keep on busting you upside the head with being the #1 station for herbal education. All right, so this is always a kid-friendly show, so you can always devote this information to your family and your friends, and especially those that you don't know. Continue to spread the gospel of health and wealth. All right, now without further ado, let's see, can we share this screen here? Give me 1 second. You guys let me know when you're able to see it. All right, y'all can, now you're probably back to me, so let's try this one more time. All right, so again, I'm your host, HerbMan, and this is the Herb of the Day show. All right, nobody does it better than how we bring this information to you, man. So what is our Herb of the Day? All right, as you can see, it is a beautiful plant. And this herb goes by the name of BONESET, okay? BONESET. And the origins of BONESET is in America, okay? So this is right in our backyard. So if we're dealing with anything that this herb is going to be conducive to, then we can find it right around our area, okay? Now, the type of plant this is a perennial plant. Now, it normally grows in subtropical climates. So, of course, we know we don't really have any tropical climates here, so it would have to be in places probably like I don't know, Middle East, and not Middle East, but let's say Midwest, things of that nature, where your climate is kind of a subtropic climate, or maybe even Georgia, somewhere where you have about all the seasons, probably would be good for this particular plant. All right, it grows to the height of about 1.5 meters. So it's never going to be a very, very tall plant. But again, as you can see, it's green with the little white buds on it here. And pretty much by its name, you can tell what it may or may not be good for. But let's get into its historical usages. All right. So BONESET here has another name, and the other common name for it is Feverwort. All right, so it kind of throws you off there. You think it may be for this, and then it hits you with another one to kind of give you that duality of what it actually does. Again, this is why I love herbs, because they do so many different things for the human anatomy. All right, so the common name for it is Feverwort, and the scientific name for it is Eupatorium perfoliatum. All right, Eupatorium perfoliatum. All right, and then you have your other ways of saying it in different languages there, but normally the parts used here are going to be the herb or the leaves of on BONESET here. Okay, now let's look at some of its actions that it says it has. All right, it has a febrifuge action, and we already know, if you don't know, that that's going to be for breaking of the fever. Okay, so that's going to be good for fever right off the bat. It is a diaphoretic. All right, and it also is a bitter tonic. Both of those mean that it's going to be good for your digestive system. Okay, the bitter tonic means that it's going to do more toning and nourishing the digestive system, but it also acts as a laxative as well. So it's going to help you disperse some of that junk in there. Okay, and it also acts as an immune stimulant, and that is one of another fascinating qualities that BONESET has, that is not only is good for, you know, the bones or fever and all those types of things, but as well as stimulating your immune system to fight against, you know, any kind of bacteria, any type of infections, any type of, you know, things that you're going to be dealing with, especially like, let's say you're going into the winter, or maybe something bit you or something like that. You can do this to stimulate your immune system to fight off and ward off something that has broken the barrier and gotten into your body. Okay, so that's what one key thing that BONESET is going to be very, very good for. Now, we do have a keynote here, so we want to talk about the keynote. It was basically used for children's fevers, okay, because it induces heavy sweating to reduce a raised temperature. So if you guys didn't know, our bodies automatically heats up, and so we call it fever, but it's what your body does automatically to fight off and ward off the intrusion of the bacteria. Okay, we call it sickness, but it's actually what the body does. So anytime you want to fight off fever and flus and stuff of that nature, you want to raise your body temperature. And as the body get hotter, it makes it more palatable for the body to ward off those diseases. And as well as you want to have rest. Okay, rest and, you know, raising that temperature are going to be key to fighting off and warding off disease and bacteria. And this also to eliminate toxins via the skin. So when you're sweating and you're doing all that sweating, you're actually pushing out the toxin out of your body. So that's a good quality that BONESET has for that. It also acts as an antispasmodic, and we know that an antispasmodic herb is going to be good for stopping all the body convulsions and muscle contractions, right? So if you're dealing with cramping or muscle convulsions, BONESET is good for that. But this is for the respiratory organs, as you can see. So if you're having any issues there, it's going to be good. Now, this herb was official in the U.S. Pharmacopoeia for nearly a century, okay, from 1820 to 1916. This was in our books. We was using this herb. So it was reported to be an anti-neoplastic. And it also, too, when we're looking at the historical usages of it, you can see that off the bat, it was used for fevers, okay? And the worst case scenario of the flu is the ache all over influenza. So that's when you have, you know, flu that may be contracted by, you know, mosquitoes and things of that nature. You know, when they have these H1N1 and swine flu and all of this that you can get from mosquitoes, then BONESET would be your go-to if you're contracting the flu from those types of issues. All right, now also too, we're going to the bone part of it instead of the Feverwort. Now the BONESET part of it is that it's been used for acute pain in the bones, from which it derives its name. All right, it's good for fractures. It was used to promote healing of broken bones. It was also used with success in malaria, okay, and also for the dengue fever. Now the dengue fever is just what I just said, is when you catching the fever because you've been bitten by a mosquito that has carried that to you, okay. And it's also good for bronchitis as well, okay. So this again has many uses. It says it's also been used in skin diseases accompanying children's fever. So like if you first get a fever, then you break out with chicken pox or the measles. So this would be good to break that, okay? This also was used, it acquitted itself well in combating yellow fever epidemic. So as you can see, this is an old school herb, and it's really good for that serious case of fever and flu, like I said, that comes from outside sources like bug bites and insect bites and things of that nature. If you can combine this well with yarrow or elderflowers. If you guys are not familiar with that, go look those up. Also, too, it was used as composition for colds and feverishness in children, as we already stated. Okay, what are the recommended ways to use it? We're always going to say that if you need it, you need to take it 3 times a day. All right, and the recommended way to use it is the tea format, which we're going to always love at Leaf of Violet Essentials here. You do 1 heaping teaspoon of it to 1 cup of boiling water, and you infuse it for about 5 to 10 minutes. And you can drink half a cup of it every 2 hours if you're dealing with like that acute bone situation, osteoporosis, joint pain, things of that nature. If you know, especially when they're inflamed and they're really hurting and they're chronic and they're doing it all the time, BONESET may be something you definitely want to take a look at. All right. It also too said that we can do this in a liquid extract. We'll do about 15 to 30 drops of this in water. Okay. And then tincture. It's always going to be tincture. Tincture is always going to be the most potent, but everybody cannot take the tincture format because it has alcohol in it. Okay. Now this one says it's going to be a 1:5 ratio, and you got to do it in about 45% alcohol. And the recommended dose here is going to be 1 to 4 milliliters. You know, every 3 times a day, pretty much. Now, lastly, you can do this in a powder format. All right, it's going to be about 375 milligrams of it, which is basically a quarter of a teaspoon. And you can either, that 375 milligrams, you can either put it in capsules, vegetable capsules, glycerin capsules, or you can just take a little teaspoon of it, maybe put it in a smoothie or some water, make, do whatever you got to do to consume it. All right. So if you guys are dealing with anything like this here, you may want to go ahead and look at this. Now, I show you some pictures of BONESET that can kind of let you see what it looks like in a lot of different formats here. You can see closer to the right side here. This is kind of the new buds. And then you got kind of how it looks if you were walking, let's say, through a forest or something, you would find it here. And you can see how some of the buds in the middle picture here are not quite as open as these on the top here. So you see how it's on the all the way to the left, how they bud out there. Okay, and what we're going to need here is the leaves. We're going to need the leaves here when we're dealing with BONESET. Now, BONESET, like other herbs that we talk about, they have a lot of other different things here. So again, but I would just stick with, like what we just said, joint pain. If you're dealing with broken bones and things of that nature, you definitely want to look at BONESET. If you're dealing with chronic flu and fever and all of that, you want to look into this. It has also been a natural treatment for catarrh. And if you don't know what that is, that's just mucus in your respiratory system, and you need to get that up out of there. So it'll be good to do that. It's also good for digestive problems because of its diaphoretic and being a bitter tonic, right? So the bitters are always going to be good for your digestive system. And also too, if you can do like a BONESET infusion, and it'll be good for your muscular spasms, all right? And rheumatic attacks. So anytime you start getting these, attacks where your hands are hurting, your knees are hurting, or wherever you're having this arthritis or this joint pain, hey man, I'm telling you, it's the reason why they call it BONESET. Okay, it gives real good relief from severe joint pains, and it also gives good relief from intense body pain as well. So it's not necessarily just about bone, but it's also about muscle. And you see what I'm saying? So that's why this is going to be very, very good for those things. So again, fractures, yellow fever, wounds, this is your go-to. Now, what we always suggest here on Lethal Violet Essentials is that the most effective way to take BONESET or to use BONESET is going to be for fever, flu, and joint pain. Okay, fever, flu, and joint pain. And there's not a whole much to this particular herb because it's kind of self-explanatory. A lot of the things about this herb you can tell exactly from the name. You see what I'm saying? So you guys can go ahead and do your research on those things and look at it and see exactly what you're going to need it for. Now remember that I'm not a doctor nor a physician, so please consult your physician before utilizing anything that you see on our channel here. But for that matter, we want you to research everything before you put it into your body. Okay, now I want to thank all of my supporters. I thank you guys that are following us on Facebook, on Instagram. We thank all you guys that are interacting with us on the Twitter @LoveHerbMan. We thank all of the friends and family that are on Reddit and all these other places that we continue to put out this important information for you guys. But I also too, before I go, I want to let you guys know that you definitely want to make sure you understand your nutritional values, because diet is always going to be important for any particular ailment, anything that you're dealing with. And it's also too, for a preventive method way, you want to make sure that you understand what you need as an individual. and also too what you need to be eating on an everyday basis to make sure you're getting your nutritional value. Because a lot of times when we're deficient in certain areas, that can be the beginning and the ease of disease coming in. All right, so we want to keep our bodies up. We want to keep them strong. We want to do whatever we can to keep our immune system up to par and keep our organs in optimal health. All right, now this has been your episode of Herb of the Day. I'm your homie HerbMan, and remember, we love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And until next time, peace. Yes, sir.